Yeah. Y'all know what time it is. AEW killed it last night. But hey, before we get into all that, well, come on. Before we get into all that, just vibe. Woo, 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 woo. AEW was fire last night, ladies and gentlemen. AEW was fire. AEW came out last night and they showed that, you know what, this Wednesday Night War, if that's what you want to call it, we're here to play. AEW last night was fire from the start, and it was fire to the end. It was a great, great show, all the way from Chris Jericho and commentary to Cody Rhodes with the Gun Club versus the Dark Order as a whole. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you something. It was a great, great show. So bear with me. If you like this content, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and it lets you know every time I drop one of these new hot videos. So last night, AEW started off with Chris Jericho, with Santana Ortiz, and Jake Hager. And Jericho is bragging up Jake Hager being 3-0 in the Bellator Ultimate Fighting Octagon Arena. And he looked beat up. Not even gonna lie, you could tell he went to war. MJF would interrupt saying, you know what, Chris, I don't want no bad blood. I feel like we got on the wrong foot. I don't want no bad blood. I still want to be part of the inner circle. Jericho would then come out and say, you know what, there's something missing with you, MJF. You're soft. You're not like Hager. You're not like Ortiz. You don't got the killer instinct. You're soft, and it's probably from your upbringing, because you came from a preppier, more fancier upbringing. MJF would take that to heart, and he said, you think I'm soft? Well, then watch this. You want that killer instinct? Watch this. Jericho would then join the commentary team, as he would be there all night long, and I love him, Chris Jericho, on that commentary. MJF and Wardlow would go against Santana Ortiz and Sammy Guevara. As you know, Sammy Guevara absolutely hates the idea of MJF joining the inner circle. Wardlow is like MJF's killer instinct, as you will, because when Wardlow gets in the ring, he's going to beat down the opponent, and then he tags MJF in, or MJF tags himself in when the opponent is pretty much already beaten or worn out. So there is MJF's killer instinct right there. But this match was actually a really, really good match. It was very solid. It was very, I liked everything that they was doing. I enjoyed everything that they was doing. It was very solid work inside the ring, because sometimes, Santana's work for me is a little, I want to say careless, but it's a little hard to get into. Maybe that's just me, in my opinion, but it was very well balanced. And Matt Hardy attacked Sammy Guevara on the outside of the ring. And it was very nicely done how they did it, because they didn't show the referee. I'm assuming the referee did not see the chair shot get thrown at Sammy Guevara's head. Matt showing Sammy how you're supposed to throw a chair without killing the guy you're working with. MJF would take advantage by making Santana Ortiz tap out at that point, and MJF would get the win. Once he gets up on top of the arena, what's he do? He doesn't do that normal MJF cocky thing. He actually goes on and attacks Chris Jericho by spearing him through the commentary thing, by spearing him through the commentary background. And it was nicely done. We're about to get a little visitor today. That's my boy Weeze up top there. He's a wrestling fan as well, so he's gonna get up there and lay down and go to sleep. All that being said, moving on, Tony Schiavone would then have an interview with Kenny Omega. And this interview was actually really nice for me, because I feel like when Kenny Omega first started in AEW, when it first started up, he had a hard time fitting in with the American style of wrestling. And what I mean by that is Japan, if you watch anything of New Japan Wrestling and that, they're very respectful in the aspect that they clap at the right times, they'll cheer at the right times, but for the most part they sit there and they're very quiet and they're very observant of what's going on around them. Wouldn't you agree? Exactly. Now, this is just to get things set up for him and Hangman Adam Page, which is a match that I'm looking very into. I'm excited about, because we knew this match was coming eventually. It didn't happen the way I thought it would happen. I thought they would end up imploding as a tag team first, but things like that, I think in the wrestling world, they change. Now, the next match on the card was Miro versus Trent from the Best Friends. The Best Man Miro, better known as Rusev Day. today could be a subscribe day, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If you're still liking this content and you haven't hit that like and the subscribe button, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Like I said, it's absolutely free. There's no pressure to it. Just, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Now, this was another great match. It all got set up about a month ago when the Best Friends were in the middle of a match. I believe it was FT Oil, but I'm not 100% sure now looking back. But they get thrown through the gaming system of Miro's and Kip Sabian's game system and destroying it. So this match pretty much got set up from that. Now, this was another solid match, and the same thing goes for Trent. I think Trent was a little green getting in there with being an indie guy, but when he gets to work with someone he can kind of feed off of and kind of watch over him, he does a fantastic job. The Best Friends as a whole do that. A lot of fans complain about, the WWE guys are coming in AEW, they're getting this, they're getting that, they're getting special treatment. I don't believe that's true. Because you look at AEW, you got Cody Rhodes, who was a WWE guy, yeah, but he's also partial owner of the company. You got Chris Jericho, who was the AEW champion, but when you're first starting out your brand, who better to be your champion and get you out there on the face of the map to make people pay attention than Chris Jericho? You got Jon Moxley now as a champion. You kind of seen that coming because, Jon Moxley makes a good champion. I don't think his championship run has been all that great since he's won the title because he's kind of gotten away from that hardcore prison cell type of character he had when he first began. But then you got Miro that joined in. You got Matt Cardone, I believe it is, who's a.k.a. better known as Zack Ryder, who's came in as a partial contract or whatever. You got all these guys coming in. You got Brody Lee, who is known as Luke Harper in WWE. These guys are coming in and they bring something to the table that I don't think a lot of people is paying attention to. I want to compare, if I can, you have WWE. WWE has the Performance Center. Now, at this Performance Center, yes, they teach you how to perfect your in-ring craft, but they teach you psychology. They teach you promo skills. They teach you what to say, what not to say it, how to feel your character, how to develop who you are as not just a wrestler, but as a character in that aspect. Now, at AEW, you don't have the Performance Center. You know what AEW has? They have that old school, back in the day, WCW Attitude Era type of thing. You're bringing in these guys that you're interested in from the indies. You're saying, all right, you're talented enough. We want you to sign a contract. We're going to put you on TV. They have AEW Dark to kind of help with that. But these guys are learning as they go. So I think AEW, if they've already survived that first year. So right there's a big thing. So if you get past a couple more years, another year or so, you're going to get these guys that's going to, who's your stars, who's going to stand out. Right now, yes, Cody is carrying the company. Right now, yes, Chris Jericho is carrying the company. Right now, yes, Mox is carrying the company. But you're seeing these guys start to stand out. You got people like Darby Allin, who I don't think he quite understands who he is yet, but he's getting there. You got guys like Colt Cabana, who's been in the indie scene, in the independent scene for quite some time. He's starting to grow on me a little bit. You got John Silver, who's starting to get a little recognition. I see a lot of fans loving what he is doing. So you got guys that's starting to kind of develop who they are. It's taken some time, but that's the growing pains that you have when you don't have a performance center like WWE. So I want everybody to understand that. So that's why these WWE guys are so important, and it actually becomes important in this match because as this match went on, the veteran skills of Miro kicked in when Trent botched a move, the finish. It was a finish. He botched a move for the finish, jumping off the ropes, and he actually slipped and fell, and he would get up and Miro instinctively just kicked him in the face and did what he was supposed to do if he would have jumped off the front rope because he was going to kick him in the face when he came off the top rope, no lie. So, and it goes without saying, game over for Trent as Miro would make him tap out and submit in the game over finishing move. Orange Cassidy, who would been jumped by John Silver in this match, by the way, would then come out as Miro would attack the Best Friends and Kip Sabian attack the Best Friends and jump off the top rope onto both Kip Sabian and Miro. And the look that Cassidy and Miro shared tells me one thing, that after Full Gear, it's going to be a rivalry between Miro and Orange Cassidy I don't think this duo, this team is done messing with each other yet. And I hope Kip Sabian pays attention to Miro, listens to Miro, because one thing about Rusev is, back in WWE Rusev, and, well, I'm going to call him Miro, he knows how to get over. He got over when WWE did not want him to get over, so he knows how to get over. And I think he can help Kip Sabian get over as well. Next, good old Jim Ross would do one of his famous interviews with Hangman Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page was sitting there sipping on a whiskey. JR would ask, are you scared? Are you nervous about this match? Hangman Adam Page, being who he was, said absolutely not. JR said, I think that's a lie, because you're drinking this whiskey, and I'm sure you just ain't the first glass of whiskey you had. You know that you're in danger and that you could lose to Kenny Omega. Now, Hangman Adam Page is an interesting thing for me to bring up, because I think Hangman Adam Page is going to be a future star in AEW. He's going to be a future AEW champion, or even a TNT champion. The only thing holding him back, and I want people to hear me out on this, is his involvement with the Elite. And what I mean by that is, and as those you may not know, the Elite is Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, who's kind of distanced himself from the Elite, and the Young Bucks, and Adam Page. If he can get away from being involved with them, and what I mean by involved is, a lot of his storylines has involved him and Kenny Omega. A lot of his storylines has involved him and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. If he can separate himself and be his own star like Cody has become, where he may have involvement with them off and on, but if he can get away from being involved with them all the time, I think that's holding him back. I want to hear what you guys have to think about that. So anytime you guys have any comments, you don't agree with what I say, or you agree with what I say and you just want to be heard, put them in the comments below. I promise you that I will read them and I will get back to them, to you, and let's have a conversation about it, because we all have different opinions and we all see things differently. So I want to see how you see things. Also, as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video that thumbs up, that like, and share it with your friends. Let them know if you got wrestling friends that's been looking for a podcast or something they can listen to. Point them my way. Let them see what we can do. Father. And now, speaking of veterans and WWE veterans, Taz would have a promo where he comes out and he rips Tony Khan for ignoring the FTW brand, for ignoring Brian Cage, for ignoring Ricky Starks. And I really want to talk about Ricky Starks for here in a few minutes, but he says, how do they not have a match at Full Gear? And he's right. He said Brian Cage is the number one contender ranking-wise, and he say rankings matter, wins and loss matters, for the AEW championship, but yeah, he's not on Full Gear. Then you got Ricky Starks, who's 13 and 2, maybe, and he's not even ranked near the top 10 at that. And then they don't even have a match at Full Gear, which is mind-boggling to him. Daz gave a good promo. I don't think Brian Cage is yet comfortable on the mic, or Brian Cage doesn't know how to be himself without a mouthpiece. And that's fine, because Brock Lesnar, he's not really a talker either. But Brock Lesnar knows how to stand out. Brock Lesnar knows how to make you pay attention to him. And Paul Heyman knows how to make you pay attention to Brock Lesnar. I wish that Taz would make you pay a little bit more attention to Brian Cage than the Taz. And this might be a knock, because this has been going on for quite some time. He needs to know how to stop making the attention, because he gets so close up to the camera like this, and yet you might see Weezy. If I want to talk about Weezy, my boy right here, and then I'm blocking half of him out, or hold him out, and then I'm like, say a few lines, and he only says one or two things. You're not looking at Brian Cage going, oh, okay, he's a star. Now, Ricky Starks, on the other hand, what's he do? He comes out, he's dressed like the 1990s Rock, but he comes out, he's dressed, he stands out from the rest. He stands out from Brian Cage. He stands out from Taz. And then they're interviewing in a corner. And what's he do? He gets up on the top rope and he sits there. So you have to see him. And automatically you're drawn to him. My eyes were drawn to him, because what's he doing on the top ropes? And his promo skills are pretty gosh darn good, to say the least. And he makes you recognize who Ricky Starks is, and that's something that you have to respect as a fan. If you break it down like I do, like anybody, any podcaster does, when you look at the little things, he does the little things that make him stand out. He's still green. He still needs some training inside the ring, but he's getting there, and he's getting there pretty quick. So I'm really interested in looking forward to see what Ricky Starks can be able to do in the future. Now, the next match was another tag team match. It's Private Party versus the Young Bucks. Now, anytime you get these two teams in the ring, you're going to get your money's worth, even though it's free right now. You're going to get your money worth out of the Private Party and in the Young Bucks. They're going to get out there and give you a great thing. The Young Bucks are going to be going against FTR for the tag team championships. Here at Full Gear. The one thing I wish they would get away from, and the Young Bucks did it, the same thing Cody did, if the Young Bucks lose, they are never going to challenge for the tag team championships again. That doesn't work so much for the tag team championships because you have an objection. Absolutely, he does not. He's looking at me like, boy, don't come at me like that. So anyway, the Young Bucks, they're not going to make a TNT tag team championship belts. Let's be honest about that. They are, however, they're going to make mid-card titles. They'll probably make another mid-card title at some point in time. Maybe not, but at some point in time they may. Especially if they get a second show, which AEW has been hinting at for quite some time. That's going to be on TV. So they're not going to make another title. So it's not like Cody Rhodes where he can't go for the AEW championship, but now he can go for the TNT title. The Young Bucks need to be able to go for the championships. I think they went after the championships more than anybody else in AEW, I think. And it is kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, I want to see you put these teams like Private Party in there. I want to see you put your teams like the Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt and things like that. Jurassic Express. To get them more involved, the Butcher and the Blade. The Butcher and the Blade is an underrated talent. I'm telling you guys that right now. The Butcher and the Blade, they are an underrated talent, and I really want to see what they're going to be able to do. I really want to see them start to get a good push without getting killed by the Young Bucks, because that match they had a while back when FTR first entered in, that should have been a match that, and I said it in one of my other videos, that should have been a match that the Young Bucks laid down and said, okay, we're gonna put the Butcher and the Blade over. If I'm gonna complain about anything about the Young Bucks is they do have a hard time putting over certain teams. They did put over Private Party when AEW first kicked off, but they don't put over very many teams unless you're the friends, if that makes sense. And I know that's gonna make some people angry, and I understand that. But look, I'm telling you how it is. I've been watching wrestling for a long time. I know how the backstage political stuff works. So I'm going to get down to that. So getting off the nitty gritty though. This match was amazing. Matt Jackson, who had his knee or his ankle badly injured, it was his knee, in the chair by FTR a week or so prior, getting smashed in between the chair off the top rope. He sold his injury very well, and I was really worried how was they going to do that. Because they had a match, and I was afraid he wasn't going to sell, but he sold it very well. He let you know it was bothering him. He let you know that, yes, it was an issue, and yes, he could do his moves, but boy, it was hurting him to do it. So Matt Jackson did sell it very well from the Young Bucks. Another thing I wish AEW would learn to do, and this is from a referee standpoint, you cannot have a non-legal competitor in the ring for 2 to 3 minutes on end. Yes, you get a lot of spots out of it. Happened in the MJF and Santana match, tag team match at the beginning of the night. Yes, you might get a couple good spots out of it, a couple tag team spots going on, but you can't have that because there's some rules in wrestling that should stay the same. Yes, I know AEW is not wanting to be WWE. Yes, I know AEW is wanting to stand out. Yes, I know AEW will have more heel versus heel matches, faces versus faces matches. And I get that, and that's fine, that's cool. But if you don't have no order in your matches, then what do you have a referee for? You got to have order. I don't care if they don't do a 5 count like WWE does and they go to a 10 count. But you have to, and I'll repeat again, you have to get the illegal man out the ring and and learn to focus and have good spots and a good match with the two legal competitors. It's going to get out of hand every once in a while, and it really gets out of hand when there's more than just two tag teams going at it. When you get a third tag team or a fourth tag team in there, the referees lose control of the match. Completely control of the match. Anytime I see that they're going to have an 8-man tag or something, I know it's going to be chaotic because you're going to have everybody in the ring at one point in time. And I wish that's something that AEW would get under control, and that's the only gripe that I have with AEW now. As far as AEW, what they need to control is learning to control and maybe sell a little bit more, and like in spots where the table's used or something like that. But that being said, the tag team is suffering in that aspect. But the Young Bucks are going to get the win here, which I wasn't surprised because they're building momentum towards the match against FTR. FTR would then come out and jump them and put Matt Jackson's leg back in a chair. And having Tony Blanchard for FTR, by the way, because FTR, anyone who watched them when they was the Revival in WWE, knew that they was old school. They had that Arn Anderson, Four Horsemen type of feel to them. They're old school. They don't do a bunch of flips. They don't do just a bunch of stuff off the top rope. They'll do it every once in a while, but not very often. So having Tony Blanchard there to show them and guide them, okay, this is how you do this. This is how this is how we used to do it back in the day. You want to do it how we did it back in the day? Well, this is how we did it. Works out phenomenally. It matches them all completely. And I really enjoy seeing what FTR is doing. I really don't want to see the Young Bucks win the titles, because I'm actually a big fan of FTR. It's nothing against the Young Bucks. It's just whenever I had to pick one, I want to see FTR hold on to these titles because they got a lot of heat building for them. They got a lot of momentum going towards them. Now, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page will come out and save Matt Jackson from having his leg broke, because that's probably what it would have been if it would have happened. And then, obviously, you had the face-off in the stalemate between Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. In this match, I really want to see Hangman get the nod in this, but I highly doubt it. I figure it'll be Kenny Omega who gets the win over Hangman Adam Page. Once again, it all kind of, I think it's the backstage politics on that. Because even though everybody complains about AEW's backstage politics, believe me, AEW has backstage politics as well. And you got to be friends with who you know to get to be friends with. Steve Austin has said many times for WWE that you got to have a relationship with Vince McMahon in order to help you get over. If you don't have a relationship with, because Vince McMahon will help you. And believe it or not, I'm not defending WWE or saying that WWE is better, but WWE is more veteran in how they do things than AEW. AEW is getting now, and I think AEW is going to give WWE a run for its money eventually if they keep going the way they're going, especially if they're putting on shows like I just seen last night. They're going to give WWE a run for the money, not just NXT. They're going to give WWE as a whole a run for the money if they keep going in the direction they're going. I'm very excited. But there's growing pains that come with this. And even Chris Jericho said at the beginning of AEW startup, there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be things that everyone's going to have to learn to adapt to. And that's, once again, that's why you got these WWE guys like Arn Anderson, who used to be in control of the stories and that back in WWE. And speaking of stories, Eddie Kingston meets with Jon Moxley. If there's any physicality to this I Quit match, it won't happen. Before the I Quit match last night, they're going to have a face-to-face meeting. If there's any physicality, so if anybody threw a punch, anybody threw a headbutt, anybody did a groin shot, stepped on your toes, Tony Khan came out and said that, hey, this match won't happen at Full Gear. This was a roller coaster of a ride. Eddie Kingston made the AEW Championship the most valuable world title in the world last night. You could see it in his face. You could hear it in his voice. The man has phenomenal promotional skills. You can hear it in his voice. You could see it in his actions. You could read it on his face and everything. He said that is the most valuable thing in the world, in the wrestling industry, and you have it. He's pretty much saying, Moxley, you don't deserve that title. He's been saying that. But he said it right there. But in that line, in that wording, He made the AEW championship the most valuable championship in AEW and in any wrestling format last night. The way he said that, the way he said it, he made it the most valuable thing in the world, hands down. Moxley would talk about his mother, how they know each other, how they're friends with each other, how Kingston has lost himself. This storyline, God, I wish it wasn't just for one match, because Lance Archer's waiting in the background. Moxley's gonna win most likely because of Lance Archer waiting in the background. But I'm invested in this match, ladies and gentlemen. I'm invested in what's going to happen between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. I want to see this I Quit match, because it's going to be emotional. It's going to be physical. It's going to be everything that that they're wanting it to be, because Eddie Kingston wants it to be that way. Eddie Kingston is one of the greatest performers I have ever seen. I heard he was even better when he was younger, back in Impact and back before Impact. But Eddie Kingston, he puts on phenomenal shows. The way he gets you invested in his words, the way he gets you invested in who he is as a person, by far, he's one of the best in the world at being a promotional speaker. Hands down. I really want to see Kingston win this title. I think he deserves it. But if he don't win this title, which he probably won't, I want to see him win the TNT Championship, because the man deserves it. The man absolutely deserves it. Then they'd have a promo, speaking of Eddie Kingston, with Pac saying he is going to come back. Pac and Kingston's going to happen. That's obvious, based on the promo with the video that they showed last night. Is going to happen. Speaking of things that are going to happen, are you going to hit that subscribe button? Are you going to hit that like button? Hit that share button? Tell your friends about this. That way you always get the latest videos that come out from the Jamez Report. Don't be shy. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share. Do it for your boy. It's absolutely free. It helps me out, and it helps you stay up to date on all these videos that will be dropping. Nyla Rose would then be the next match. She's been gone for a little while with Vicky Guerrero. Versus Red Velvet, who is Brandy Rhodes' next project, you could say. Nyla Rose is going to be the next AEW champion, women's champion, I should say. Regardless how you feel about her personal life, she's considered a female wrestler, so we're going to talk about her being a female wrestler. She should never lost the title to begin with. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Shira. I'm going to call her Shira because here is Shira. I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. Nothing against who the women's champion is now, but Nyla Rose should have never lost that championship to begin with. Point blank. Nyla Rose will win at Full Gear. Mark my words. Bet on it. Put a bet in the comments. I don't care. And that's another thing. Hit that like. Don't just hit the like and subscribe button. Put what you think down in the comments below. I don't bite, and I'm not going to criticize you for having your own opinion. We'll have a discussion, but I'm not going to criticize for the opinions. Last but not least was John Silver, Colt Cabana, and 10 from the Dark Order versus Cody Rhodes and Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn of the Gun Club. I never knew how big Billy Gunn was from his WWE days until he came to AEW, and I see the size difference. He's 6'5", and the man is just ripped. But if he goes to WWE, you would never have guessed his size or how big he really actually is until you look at him compared to the AEW guys. Cody Rhodes can now be called Cody Rhodes now. WWE has let go of that argument, has let go of the trademark, so Cody Rhodes can now be Cody Rhodes. This was another great match. Illegal competitors was in the ring, but not like they was in the other matches. And I would say that's probably because of Billy Gunn being a veteran in the ring and in the sport, Colt Cabana being a veteran in the sport, and Cody Rhodes being a veteran in the sport. They know how tag team matches should and ought to go. So it was a very good match and very nice. One thing, and Cody Rhodes, the Gun Club would pick up the win over 10 from Dark Order. One thing I wish they would do, Dark Order has a lot of potential to be this fantastic group if they can just win in big matches. For whatever reason, they never win the big matches. They never do. Brody Lee, the Exalted One, you would think he'd win some big matches. He has not won the big matches, especially when the title's been on the line. The Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson, they should have held the tag team championships, in my opinion. They didn't do it there. They're not using the Dark Order correctly. And that's my opinion, of course. I don't want to see them get so big. I mean, with all these members, I don't want to see it be another NWO group faction. But focus on a couple guys. They're starting to focus on John Silver. They're starting to focus on 10 a little bit. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, they've already established themselves as who they are in AEW. So focus on these guys who you want to push in the Dark Order and let them start winning these big matches. Yes, you can have these other guys that can lose these big matches. If you don't want John Silver to be a big-time star, then yeah, have him lose these big matches. But he's starting to get a little bit of push from the fans. I can see that right now. Overall, AEW to me was a fantastic show last night. I really enjoyed everything that AEW did last night, and I hope they continue to do what they've been doing. That being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thank you for vibing with your boy. WWE SmackDown is going to be my next video. Don't miss it. Be there, be square, be ready, and you guys have a great rest of your day.